Good afternoon. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll jump right back into this thing where I'm at with it. I'll cut a couple of pieces of glass and talk to you more about the way you get your pieces to fit in your project. And I'm not saying I've said this 1,000 times. I'm not saying my way is the best way. I'm just showing you how somebody does this work that's done the stuff for 50 years and done a lot of it. All right, and there are people that are in this trade that are so they're in such a much better place than I am with their skills. But I've got some skills, and so the ones I do have, I will try to share with you. Okay, let's get back into this. So the key, of course, to anything, and the beauty of this little project here is it's small enough that I can talk about all the little parts of it, and then you could expand on that. I'm trying to think if there's what follows this piece. I can't think. There's one more smaller panel follows this panel, and then we'll get to the larger stuff. So the larger stuff works just like this does, and so this is nice because I can talk about just a much smaller area. Okay, I want this stuff to fit really, really tight, straight, and so I think that'd probably be my trademark, is that this stuff fits. And the way I do it, everybody has their little method, but I'm just doing these pieces one at a time and making them fit and taking into consideration all the things that go on around that piece. So what I mean by that is if something's a little too long there, then it's going to have an effect down here. So it's like a jigsaw puzzle. The pieces need to fit. The beauty of this type of jigsaw puzzle is that you make the pieces. All right, so we want to obviously get this to fit in here, and I want all of this stuff straight. So the prerequisite for all of this stuff being straight would be this being straight. So everything has to be square, and that's the way I like to start out with, including the drawing. I've corrected this drawing. I found it was off in one spot, corrected it, made sure that all the things around it that would be affected by the change there are going to work for me. So what I'm doing right now is I put this rain in. I'm working with a small piece of this rain glass. I've got sheets of this stuff, but I thought, heck, if I can get it done with this piece right here, let's do it with this. So that's what we're working with. And I needed a piece right here to sit right inside of there. And I also needed the raindrops to go up and down. And I also stripped off a piece for the raindrops to go vertical over here. So that's a piece that I've already cut off for here. And say, well, why would you do that in advance? Reason being, I was working with this sheet right here. And so I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and cut this vertical piece off over here, and then I'll cut the horizontals off. And I got to thinking, whoa, wait a minute. If I get froggy and cut off the horizontals here and here off this sheet, I'll get this sheet too short to work in this outside area. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and just cut them early. So anyway, that's how that happened. I hope that made sense. Trying to make sure that because this sheet is grained, that I don't cut myself into a hole where I can't use what remains on what we need. And in fact, this is for the horizontal down here. We'll need some horizontal up on the top. And I think, yeah, here's why. Okay, we need a horizontal right here. And guess what? It's just a little too long. If I'd have cut another vertical off there, then we've lost that thing right here. We've got to go to a whole new sheet of this stuff just because of that. So I knew there was somewhere I was going with that. All right, so anyway, here we are down here. And I fit this piece here, and it's on my line, which is good. And I worked toward that line. I had to do some grinding to get it to that line. And the reason you want to get to that line is you want to be able to come in now with this big part of this panel, set it where it's supposed to go, and you want to know right here, have you ground enough off this piece right here? Because you could fix this whole line here just in a tiny bit of grinding. If this piece is too tall, so here's the key. Okay, there it is, butted up, and it's right on the money. So I had already looked at this before I'd showing this you on the video. I'm just showing you how I got to where we're about to go. So I knew this was the correct width across there. And so I thought, all right, well, I've got to still cut out of, I have two of these horizontals. I've still got to cut this one, and I've still got to cut this one. So rather than go ahead now and get back, because I know there's going to have to be a little bit of adjustment off the top of this, rather than cut this off and then try to figure out how much to take off this, I just come right down here and fashion this piece here to fit exactly where this one was, because it's going to be an extension of it anyway. So that way we've got a real good shot of everything being super straight. So I'm looking at it, and it's over the line a little bit along here, you know, so that needs to be dressed up a little bit. So let's take a quick go at that. Now we're taking a look at it and making sure we'll get up against something where you can see, making sure there's no dips here that we would need to take off. But the pieces, you know, looks pretty square. So we're just going to try to get some off the top of this thing. And it won't be much. I think there's I'm about 65, 70% into this bit. I think there's a little less than half of it left where, you know, you don't wear yourself out going back and forth across here. I think the key to getting this stuff even with that grinder is particularly on a piece that long. I may be telling people stuff everybody already knows already. I don't know. But develop a rhythm going back and forth across that grinder head, and you don't get these dips you know, if you're going real slow. Now, if you have a line to go to that you can see, then of course you want to get down on it and do that. But other than that, excuse me, back and forth. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Oof. Man, that looks awfully close to me. Okay, now what I want to do is compare it to this one, because they're going to need to lay, oh man, that is so fine. Okay, now, it might seem, is this the one that came out of there? No, this is my new one. Here's my old one. It might seem that, we're going to go 7/30 seconds on this. It might seem that I just go off on some over-the-top tangent on this stuff, but I don't know any way to get these panels to look, you know, really well put together unless you put this additional effort into it. And I always say, I don't need to say it to myself so much because I work like this, but what's the rush? You know, just nice and steady. Develop a pace or rhythm that works. I'm backing out. That's the beauty of this thing, I'm telling you. Oop, got a little paper followed this up. I'll have to pull that paper out. But the beauty of this thing is you can run that foil right down that glass. And you know, that was pretty good size. All we got to do is pull that paper back through there. It just rolled into itself. There it is. And, okay. And of course, all the same old routine, but your solder bead will be where the foil is. So if your foil's not on even, then your solder bead's not even. Okay, let's see what that looks like down there. You know, there's a tiny, that's just nobody's going to see that but me. There's a little, what I want to call it, infraction or whatever. There's a word for it. Anyway, a little burr off that little piece of glass right there, which then has caused that foil to go in. Oh, I'm not going to get that OCD with this, am I? Let me see. Trying to talk myself out of my mental. Bah. No, that's not going to be. Oh, that's just going to drive me crazy. Oh, let me get here. I can't. If I see it, I got to fix it. So, you see what I'm doing? Yeah. There it is. Okay. Now, that might not make. Oh, that's just beautiful. Now, see, I got that straight line across there. That might not make any difference to anybody, but it sure does to me. Okay. So why don't we do this? I really like the place that is. Now, let's check this again, because in the past, if I've made some sort of little miscalculation, and when I pull this piece down here, I'm still too proud or too tall up here, then it doesn't bother me. I'd rather not. I just want to pick that thing up and blade the copper foil off of it, come and grind it, fix it, and put it back in, because there's just no point in adding a mistake or something you can fix into the project, because all that does would slightly push this up, which then means I'm going to need to, instead of these being 20, they need to be 19.5 millimeters. And then you got to, if you build your known mistakes into a project, you're just asking for more work later. Okay, well, let's lock this down. And all I'm going to do, I think I'm going to just hit it right here in a couple of spots. Right there. And right there. And then I want to get this out of the way because I don't want anything to... Okay, I'm looking at where we're placed again. A little more here. Right there. That's it. All right. So there's all there is to that. And now what I would do, because here it is. This is one we've already fashioned. I will do one of these real fast, and then I'll leave you. Oh, look. It's so cool because you don't have to worry. Is this one a little too much that way? Too much? You know what it is. It's exactly the same as this one, which was fashioned to fit that exact spot in conjunction with this. Okay. So all I'm doing right here, and I reached down there, but I want to make sure these raindrops are up, right? Okay, so let's just put a line right across there. Oops, look out, boy. Okay. And we'll make this one, I'll tell you what, I got an idea right here. I'll show you, kind of think ahead just a little bit. Ooh, you know what? We must have a little oil or something on our... Let's try this again. There it goes. I couldn't see that in the reflection that it didn't, work out the first time. So what we're going to do right now, because we can see through this thing, why don't we get a piece of white paper? Just take that white paper, right? And lay this thing down. Now you can see where you're going. So let's go out here and all I did was just turn this Fletcher over. I know they are old and very few people use them. But if you were to learn how to use that thing, you take that pistol grip and throw that right in that trash. Because glass cutting, or this is just my opinion, all this is just my opinion. Cutting glass to pattern is all about control. And now what we're going to do, before that needs to be cleaned up, but I want to see if is my angle right. We could take a little more off this front end here. So rather than go over there and clean it off, then have to take it over there, find out that I need to take a little off this end here, we do it all at once. Even though it was a little burr of it sticking off there, was enough to see that the angle that I had wasn't 100% right. Oh man, now it is. Okay, now we don't have to worry now that we're not the right height here, because we know we are, because we were cutting this all out of this glass. It's exactly the same height, width, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so let's foil. Wait a minute. I just thought of something. I was going to say, let's foil this, but I think it might be smarter to cut this piece and get those in there, both of them, with the foil off this, in case I needed to. Well, I don't really want to do that. I was going to say in case I needed to grind some of this off, but we'll just make this thing to fit. So I have noticed. Look in here. Look down here. This is just hanging over just a hair right there. So let's just clean that. I don't know how much a regular person, I think maybe if you were real early into this craft, you could obviously get more from what I'm showing you than not, but I hope I'm able to help somebody, in the early stage. I remember being in the early stages of this stuff. I wish I'd had if I'd had a video to look at and bail me out of some of the, no one to ask. I'm telling you. Remind me, stained glass back in the 70s, mid 70s, earlier 70s, or to me personally now, if you were out in LA or somewhere like that, yeah, I was in the middle of the U.S. in cattle country and oil country. And no, of course, no internet or any of that stuff. So, kind of like that guy, Tom Hanks played that guy in that plane crashed. Castaway. Yeah. Well, that's what, if you were in the stained glass, or you were interested in stained glass back then, in that particular place, you were a castaway. And I don't know why I just didn't give up. Okay. Ooh, man, I'm telling you, this is starting to get good now. Okay, now, I like all this activity right here. So we're going to do, you could do this a couple ways. You can measure that out and put a line on it. But since we can see through this thing fairly well, I hope you can see, I can see. I keep having to get that thing going. There you go. Okay, we're going to cut that line right there. I'm going to fashion this piece here real quick to get down into here and look right. And then we'll cut the top off of it and foil that. And then we'll have that done, and I'll stop this little video. Let's see if what we need to do here. My line doesn't look as drawn super straight, so we'll see how I'm probably a little wider than a little wide, but that's all right, not much. Let's see, I'm trying to decide which one of these I want in here. You know what? I'll just clean it up and we'll bounce back and forth. Okay, let's get this done right here. That's some, this here, right here, Uroboros confetti fractured streamer. Oh, I don't know. No telling how old this is. Oh, it might be as young as 10, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I've had it a long time, so anyway, this stuff is just beautiful. Okay, well, did we get close yet? Let's go this way. Still not quite enough. Okay, but I tell you what we can do. We can go ahead. I like this section right here because I like this color of the green, and we get the lines on this one. If we flip it over, we don't get the lines. So here's where we're going to go. And we'll make this part work here. I can see that line. Oh, yeah, okay. I can see that line down under there. And somebody said, oh, I could never just take that much time. And boy, I'll tell you what, you're going to do that. I hope if you're going to do much of this stuff, that you just take the road that gives you, okay, that's the top. I'm not going to mess with that, but I want to grind this side right here so we can get into that slot. Take the road that slows you down a little bit. And think about every single panel that you do, every piece of glass that you cut, you're just going to get better at. Oh, man. Boy. Oh, that's just, look at this fit across the top of this thing. Yeah. Okay, we're still, and now I may, you know what, I better mark this because right now we're a little bit too tight. I got it in there, but I don't have the foil on it. So I'm going to mark this side, and then I'll come back, and I think I need to dust this top. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. Okay. So see the two dark marks, right? That tells you get over here, you get lost. Okay, and then you come over here and you grind the wrong part of this thing, and guess what? You know, you don't want to get crazy here, but you want to certainly take some off. I'm on the other side now. Okay, what we don't want to do, since this is getting so close to perfect, it looks like that it could have just a touch dusted off right there, and that'll square this up. It's awful close, and then I can move this thing around if I'm taking a little too much off of here. And I'm not going to take much, so I don't think anybody's going to notice that. Boy, me either. I think I need more. Let me wait. I don't really want to take any more without looking. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't take any more of that. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, let's go 7/30 seconds. Getting that moisture off there from the grinder. And this is we've done these 3 pieces, I think, here. And this will give you a real good shot at how, I don't know whether anybody, all these little smaller panels that I do, how all the lines are always so straight. Well, this is exactly how I'm doing it. And this has got to have an effect on many of you that are putting borders inside your panels. Those lines need to be straight because that's a reflection of the builder. Okay. All right. Oh man, I tell you, it just can't get much better than this. All right, now I'm going to push against these two. This is locked in, and we're going to lock these two. What a joy it is. You know, this is not a complicated panel by any stretch. However, that's all the more reason for you to show off your skills and abilities on something that's taking the viewer's eye right there and no place else to go. Okay, what we want to do right now, I'm going to stop here for you guys, but I just want to slide this thing down. And this is no foil on it. Oh, man. Okay, we're just so perfect on this line right here. And what I can do, I'm a little bit, and that's fixable right here, but I'm about a half a millimeter inside this line. Now, I could change this line super easy, but that's kind of getting goofy, and I'll tell you why. Because you're so tied up on this side, all you would have to do to make this look right, and nobody would notice it anyway, but would be to just slide that over a quarter of a millimeter. Look at that. You've got no cavity here. And your solder line, which will give away how much fudging around you had to do. But the solder line here and here will be uniform. And that's the key. And this will obviously be uniform. Okay, now, we've seen this. But let's look up here. And I don't know whether you can see, the pencil line is just dead on that piece of glass. Now, if it wasn't, and in fact, I gave that right there a second look. If I was a little more proud that direction, I'd grind off a little of this, but it doesn't need to be done. It's so perfect. Okay, but this is where, rather than throw this drawing out a square, if you have a problem, then you'll fix it right here. But you should already know how much of a problem you have because you've been down here. And if you've got a pretty big problem to fix, then you can adjust on both ends of this thing. But the key is to start off in the square, stay disciplined, and everything just fits like a glove, you know. And I'm not doing anything heroic or unusual to make this thing work. It's just a discipline that begins with the drawing. There's where it actually starts. Okay? All right. Well, if you have questions about this or any of the rest of the stuff we're doing or want to get ready to do, just let me know. And this video will be available for just 30 days, and then they disappear. And I saw something from Facebook they sent me, and they're gonna all the videos that are in my Facebook page or on my Facebook page. Ooh, there must be 450 of them. Anyway, they'll disappear. Like I think it said July 7th. So I'm not making any money on anything in there. I want you to go get that information if you want it, but go download any of those that you think might be of help to you. And we'll do these, like I'm doing this, and these will be around for 30 days unless you download it, and then you keep it forever. I'm going to download these myself because that way I can keep them. But boy, I'm telling you what, this little panel. This little panel here is going to look so good. You can just, you can just see this thing already. And man, I tell you, how lucky can you get? You're pulling the blues and greens, all these, and the yellows up in this dragonfly, and I go right over there, and right in the fractured streamer glass is the blue, and here's some blue over here. Oh man. All right, this might be one of the best ones I've ever done right here. We're getting right in the. Boy, I know one thing. I remember a lot about all of them if you've done them as intimate as this stuff gets, and I think there's only one other one that I think where it was like amazing, and I think this one's got that potential, and I tell you a lot. I tell you these corner pieces here with that pink, and somebody said, "Oh man, how much difference will that make?" Though that pink in these corners, that subtle, with no more than is there, bounced off this. Where is another piece of that? This stuff. Here, this is Ouroboros right here, and this is, and rather than having clear, it's got this misty white over it. Look at that. But anyway, you start to pick that stuff flicked out in these sides. Oh wait, boy. When it's right, it's right. Well, anyway, I got to go. All right, I'm gonna keep working here. Thank you so much. Bye now.